What is up, everybody out there in the YouTube trucking community? Sean Cahalan, Christian trucker brother, coming at you again with another video. Man, I'm posting a lot of these things, aren't I? Yes, I am. I'm excited. I love making videos. I love talking with you guys. I love sharing information with you. Just got a shower, nice clean shave. Oh, so fresh. So fresh. Then I get to go home tomorrow. And I'm so looking forward to that. On a side note, I've got this spot under my chin. I know nobody cares about this, but I'll tell you what. You know how you have a cowlick on the back of your head when you get haircuts and stuff? The hair is always difficult for the hairdresser to cut. I have a spot like that right there underneath my chin. No matter how much I shave across it with my razor, I cannot ever get it smooth. It's always rough. I know, nobody cares. Hard luck, Chuck. Wah, I know. All right, tonight we are going to be talking about flatbedding. If you're thinking about flatbedding, if you haven't even come into trucking yet and you're thinking about flatbedding, and we're going to compare it with box trucking. And there's a joke that says that, you know, the difference between flatbedders and box truckers. Ready for this one? So box truckers play with a box, and the flatbedders do it with chains and straps. Oh yeah, under the covers. I'm probably messing that joke up, but I think you get the point. Dirty joke, dirty joke. All right, so flatbeds, skateboards. That's what we call them. That was the old lingo back in the day. There's different types of equipment, and basically I'm going to discuss the differences in the different types of trailers that you may see running down the road. And there is so much diversity within flatbedding. There's so much to it. I can cover a lot of it, but needless to say, flatbedding is it's basically a specialty division. And a lot of it is considered specialized because it's on an open deck, and there is so much to every single load being so different. One thing that you'll notice running down the road is each flatbed you see has something different on the bed, and it has a different type of tarps. Some of the loads are tarped, some of them are not tarped, and the different shapes and the different sizes and what you're loading, every single load will be different. So the different types of trailers that you'll see, there's 48-foot spread axle flatbeds, there are 53-foot spread axle flatbeds, there are 53-foot step decks, and I think 51-foot step deck. You have specialty trailers that are known as double drops. You have removable goosenecks, RGN, and then you have Canistogas, which are a tarping system that slides over. Basically, it's like looks like a wagon actually. And you basically slide the tarp system towards the back, you load the truck, strap everything down, and then you basically slide the cover towards the front. It's called a canistoga, also known as, some of them you might see running down the roads, they'll say chameleon on the side of it. So you have those, and then you have the covered wagons, which have a removable side kit that you can break down. And it looks like a covered wagon because you have the side kits, and then you have the rails that you put over the top, and then you throw a tarp over the top of it. Those are mainly for hauling steel, and that's so that drivers have to work a little bit less with messing with the tarps and things like that. You also have curtain sides, which look like a regular box truck. It's just, or like a regular dry van. But you'll look at the side of it and you'll see a curtain that can be unstrapped, and then you slide it open and they load it from the sides. But it also has barn doors on the back, just like you know, a regular old 53-foot dry van or reefer unit, and it has doors on the back, so you can actually back one of those up to a dock and they can be loaded from the back as well. So like I said, quite a lot of diversity with the type of equipment that you can run with flatbed. Very specialized, and the amount of different freight that you can haul on flatbeds it's immeasurable. I mean, I couldn't even tell you all the different stuff that you can haul on a flatbed. You got lumber, you got steel, you got agricultural bags, you've got totes, you've got machinery that you can haul, you've got machine parts that you can haul. You can haul produce. I used to haul onions. So yeah, a lot of diversity. And that's what makes it so appealing, is that every load will be different, and you will mess with a lot of different types of freight, and you will mess with a lot of different types of equipment. So just, you know, really interesting, a lot of fun. If you like hard work and you're not afraid of hard work and you're not afraid to get your hands dirty, you get into it and it'll keep you on your toes. You got to be a problem solver. Every load that you will run will have its own unique set of challenges on load securement and tarping. And you, of course, you got to make sure that that load is going to stay on that trailer, and you got to make sure that those tarps are not going to get damaged, because those tarps are very expensive. So with the equipment that you'll carry on a flatbed, there's all kinds of different equipment. You got chains and binders, and that's going to be for binding down, you know, steel, metal, and stuff like that that's not going to get damaged. On some of the more sensitive stuff, you're going to run straps, the 3.5-inch ratchet straps, and 2.5-inch or 2-inch ratchet straps as well. So you'll be carrying chains, binders, straps, edge protectors, and those you'll put on the cargo to protect the edges of your straps so that they don't get damaged. If they get damaged, you have to throw them away, and they're not cheap. You'll have bungee cords, and depending on the type of trailer that you have, you can actually go and get specialty rope hooks put on and installed on the trailer along the edge, and you can use what's called shock cord or paracord, and this is an elastic, stretchy bungee rope that you can weave through the tarps. And then as you're weaving it through the tarps, what you do is you will pull it down and you will hook it into the hooks that are pre-installed on the trailer. And then basically sometimes you'll see a trailer running down the road that'll have a rope that's weaved up and down alongside the whole side of the trailer. Along with some of the other stuff you might be hauling and see on a flatbed, you might see big plastic V-boards, and you might also see 2x4 V-boards, 1x4 V-boards, and those are put on to keep the straps from crushing the load. Some loads that you will put on a flatbed will be very soft and prone to crushing or breaking, and so you will need to put edge protection and stuff like that on the cargo to keep it secure and also to keep it from being crushed. One of the cool things about the spread axle flatbeds that is quite a bit different from the dry vans is on your dry vans and your reefer units, you can put 34,000 pounds on a regular tandem set. But on a spread axle, what there is there's a 10-foot bridge or space in between the front and the back axle on a spread axle flatbed, and you can load up to 40,000 pounds on the trailer tandems versus only 34,000. So on a flatbed spread axle, you can go, it's 12,500 pounds on the steers, you can go 34,000 on the drives, and you can put up to 40,000 pounds on the trailer tandem set. On a regular conventional tractor trailer with a dry van or reefer unit, you can go 12.5, you can go 34, and 34,000 on the back tandem set. The difference between the spread axle flatbed is they normally are fixed. You may see some basically adjustable tandems that can be adjusted and slid, where you can close up the gap and you can make it a regular tandem, or you can spread that front axle and move it forward. Those are called sliders, or slidable tandem. So yeah, there's a big diverse, like I said, a lot of differences in some of this equipment out there when it comes to flatbedding. Highly specialized and a lot of fun. If you really like to try a lot of different stuff, you know, you can try a bunch of different flatbedding jobs and really get into running all kinds of different equipment. Talked about the weight distribution, talked about loading, securement, and unloading. So on a flatbed, everything goes on a deck. Open, they're called open deck. So the thing about that is that you can run pallets, you can run bundles, you can run machinery, and all of those things. And they get set on your trailer on the deck, and you have to find a way to secure it down with bungees and chains, or not bungees, with straps and chains. There are rules that you have to follow. According to DOT regulations, you have a minimum standard when it comes to load securement and how much weight you are securing and how to properly secure cargo. There are all kinds of rules that you will have to learn. And when you get DOT inspected, they will be checking your load and they will be checking securement. Part of the securement, of course, is running tarps, and tarps are secured to the truck via bungee cords, or, like I said, like before, bungee rope or shock cord. The tarps are basically, there's one for the front and there's one for the back. You might also see a 3 tarp setup, and where the tarps are overlapped, the one goes on front and has a flap that goes over the front, and on the back you will see that the back will have a flap as well, and your overlap will be in the middle. The time that you will spend on securing, unsecurement, and tarping will average between anywhere, and I'm not joking here, loading, securing, and all of that, tarping, can be anywhere from an hour and a half up to 5 hours. So depending on what you're securing and what you're tarping, this can be, you could be putting a lot of time into this. A lot of companies will pay additional tarping pay. At Melton Truck Lines, when I worked there, that was $100. It was $50 for tarping and $50 for untarping. So you can make up to $100 on each load, and you earn every single penny of that money. So don't let that flashy cash catch you off guard and think that you want to go run flatbed because you get that tarping pay. Like I said, you earn every penny. So, of course, you know, with all of this securement and tarping, of course, you are going to be having to climb on and off your trailer and up and down on top of your load, your cargo. When you're walking across this cargo, it can shift, it can move, and it has holes. So if you cover it up with a tarp, you can't see underneath the tarp. So you have to be really careful when you're on top of the load that you can slip, you can fall, and if you are 13 feet up in the air, you fall down 13 feet, you die. There's no passing go. Yeah, it's a very dangerous job. Very, very dangerous. One of the most dangerous jobs in the country. You can be out securing, unsecuring, climbing on your load, crawling on your load, doing all this stuff, and you can be in high winds in Wyoming. You can be in the middle of a blizzard. It can be during torrential downpouring rain, and you have to get out and tarp that load. Your weather exposure, you will be exposed to 110 degree heat or minus 10, minus 15 degrees. Tarping and untarping, working on these loads. All winter, all summer. So your exposure to the elements is real. And of course, with all of that, you need to carry extra clothes. You'll have to have, you know, Carhartts, overalls, coveralls, thermals to keep yourself cool in the summer, in the winter time, or keep yourself warm in the winter time, and to keep yourself cool during the summer. You can wear cargo shorts in the summertime, but of course, you know, the thing about it is in the summertime there's not a whole lot you can do to cool down other than take a lot of breaks. You will need to drink a lot more fluids, and you will need to make sure that you are hydrated. You'll need to drink electrolytes, and it is a very physically demanding job. So keep that in mind. If you're 60 years old, you may not want to go out and try out flatbedding. Yeah. But hey, you know, don't take my word for it. If you want to go out and try it and you're 65 years old, go ahead. But I'm just saying, it's a very physically demanding job. And in my opinion, it's a young man's job. And that's why I did it when I was younger. And now that I'm 43 years old, I can't do it anymore. I did sustain an injury because I was lifting the tarps, and those tarps can weigh anywhere upwards of about 100 pounds dry. So one of the things about these is the tarps, when they get wet and they get ice on them or snow, or anything else like that, or even wet, if they're really, really wet, that can add about another 10 to 15 pounds of weight to the tarp. In the wintertime, when you go and try to roll them up and put them away, they will not roll up. They will not roll tight. You have to bunch them up and put them up on your deck and strap them down. So just some of the things that you need to be aware of, that if you are thinking about this, you will, like I said, need to be an extreme problem solver. And you will need, every load presents very unique challenges. Flatbedding tends to pay a little bit more. Along with your base rate will usually be more. You'll also receive additional pay. Additional tarp pay, additional stop pay, and things like that. Of course, part of the problem is that you're putting in all that extra work, and you still are paid by the mile. So they do, normally pay you quite a substantial amount of money more to put in the extra physical labor. But you can go over to dry van and make just as much money. So I make more money driving dry van than I was when I was driving flatbed. So take that for what it's worth. I mean, I don't know what it's worth to you, but it all depends on what it is that you want to do. If you're highly motivated and you don't mind working with your hands and you don't mind getting very dirty, hot, sweaty all the time, it is a very dirty job. There's been days when I was so covered in dirt and grime that my arms were black from all the road grime and stuff that comes off the tarps, and you're sweating, and then that dirt is transferring, and that sweat is transferring, and yeah, you turn different shades of colors. I used to carry baby wipes with me so that I can clean off my arms and stuff after I would tarp. And when you get that dirty, there are times when you cannot go and take a shower right away. So you'll need to get all nasty, dirty, icky, grimy, and then have to go to bed. So if you don't mind being really dirty, greasy, nasty, gnarly, be aware of that. You will be extremely dirty. All right, your schedule, your time, and your routine. So basically your schedules, most shippers and receivers are Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. You can get loaded and unloaded on the weekends. It's just with flatbedding, it's going to be more of a rarity. So what they try to do is they try to load you up, and they try to give you a load that'll run you through either 1 or 2 days through the weekend. So they'll either try to run you on a longer load to get you through the weekend, or they will put you on a shorter run, like 500-700 miles, that will get you to be able to run 1 or 1.5 days, so that you're not sitting for the entire weekend. If you do not get this timed correctly, you will end up sitting for the weekend, and that is not fun, especially if you want to go home. So you have to be aware of heat exhaustion and extreme climate exposure. Like that's why I said you gotta carry extra clothes in the wintertime, but you also need to be aware of extreme heat exhaustion and heat stroke in the summertime. I have fallen victim to that twice, and it is very real. You can be working on your load down in Phoenix, Arizona in the middle of the summer, where it is just roasting hot. You feel like you're in an oven. You'll be up on your load. You'll be working. You'll go to stand up, or you'll squat down and you'll stand back up, and you run the risk of passing out and falling off your trailer. So you really got to be careful, and you really got to remember to take care of yourself. Take your time and take your breaks. You got to do load checks and tire checks. When you load the trailer, you secure everything down, everything's tight. You go and get your paperwork and all of that. You put in all your macros, and then you take off down the road. Within the first 50 to 100 miles, you will need to pull over and stop, and you will need to check all your straps. You will need to check all your binders, and you will need to check all of your bungee cords and check everything to make sure. Because what happens is when you load the freight on the trailer, you secure everything down, and you drive down the road, you know, your trailer's doing this, right? And so your freight shakes and settles and moves and shifts. We call that load shifting. And so you'll need to pull over, retighten down all of your straps and binders, check your load, and do load checks. Within the first 50 to 7,500 miles, you know, somewhere right in there, they say within the first hour that you leave, and that's a pretty good rule of thumb. And then after that, every 250 miles, you'll want to pull over and you'll want to do a load check, tire check, to make sure that the all of your securement is still in place and the load has not shifted. That's about it. I mean, it didn't take a whole lot to really kind of explain flatbedding as a whole. I mean, it's very diverse. It's very different from running a box truck. With these box trucks, we generally don't touch the freight very much, unless you're in reefer. You really don't. You know, in a dry van, we just drive. That's generally about 95% of what we do. We drop trailers, pick up trailers, bump the docks, and we just kind of sit around, take it easy, and wait. With flatbedding, it's a lot different. When you get to your shipper, you do a lot of driving to get to your shipper or get to your receiver. And then once you get there, then the work begins for you, because now you got to work an hour and a half to 2 hours to either secure or unsecure your load. Anywhere upwards to 5 hours. Like I said, if you have not the right equipment, and you have to put in the extra work to secure and unsecure your load, and then you got to drive more. So there's definitely a lot more work involved in flatbedding. That's why a lot of the people that are older, a lot of your veteran drivers that have been driving flatbed for a long time, you know, as your body ages, your joints will start to break down, your back will start hurting, you'll get neck and shoulder injuries and stuff like that. And what'll happen is a lot of those drivers will then go over to either a Conestoga or a curtain side, where you'll do more drops on your route. But you don't have to mess with the tarps. You'll still have to throw straps, and you'll have to use chains and binders and stuff, but you won't have to lift the tarps, and you won't have to deal with climbing on top of the load to get your loads tarped. So that's pretty much it. That's really all I can think of about talking about it. It is way different, and it's a lot of fun. If you want, like I said, a constant adventure, and you're not opposed to being a problem solver and being able to run different types of freight on every single load that you do, it's a lot of fun. It'll keep you on your toes, and it offers a big, wide variety and diversity of freight and work. And you'll get to see all kinds of areas of the country. When I worked for Mountain Flatbed, or Mountain Truck Lines, I drove all over the place, you know, coast to coast. California, all the way up to Seattle, Tacoma, all the way through to Montana. And I drove over to Boston, Massachusetts, up into Michigan, and all the way down into Florida, Texas, all over the place. So, yeah, you will run all over the place. You will generally tend to run quite a bit more deadheading, because for some weird reason, I haven't been able to figure it out yet, but for some weird reason, there tends to be more space in between your drops and your hooks, or between your load and unloads. Drops and hooks. That's so funny. So when you deliver a load, generally you'll end up doing a lot more deadheading to get to your next load, and I'm not quite sure why it's that way. It might be just because these facilities are just further apart, and where you're delivering to, a lot of times you'll be delivering to construction sites and stuff on new construction, and a lot of your facilities where you will be pulling out of will be manufacturing facilities and construction facilities and stuff like that. So you can also put big shipping containers on a flatbed. Those are nice and easy. You just throw a couple of chains and a couple straps and you're flying down the road. Pretty cool. So yeah, lots of fun. If you're into it, you're young and you want a lot of hard work and adventure, and that's what you want to do, I highly recommend it. I did it for 3.5 years, and that was a majority of my career was flatbedding. I absolutely loved it. But it is a lot of hard work. And so, you know, a lot of people will look at those flatbeds and they'll see those guys out on the road climbing on their loads in the wintertime, in the summertime, out in the heat and everything else. And a lot of people will look at that and say, no way. But then there's other guys that are like, oh yeah, that's what I want to do. I honestly think that I would still be flatbedding today if I didn't have a bad back and a bad shoulder. I never would have stopped had I not injured my shoulder. So it took a quite a major injury for me to stop. What happened to me is I was lifting a tarp and something pinched or something scrunched or whatever in my neck. And what had happened is I sustained some kind of a weird soft tissue injury that impacted my nerve running down my arm, and my whole arm would go numb. And I was getting migraine headaches every day, and towards the end of it, my arm was almost completely immobilized. I couldn't move my hand and my arm, and it was numb all the time. So I had some weird nerve damage going on in my cervical spine up in my neck, and so I lost strength in this hand. I couldn't tighten down my straps. I couldn't lift with this side much anymore, with this arm and shoulder, and so yeah, I had to get out of flatbedding for a while. I went home for a while, and then I came back into trucking. I drove reefer unit because I figured, well, I'll be okay as long as I don't have to do all the heavy lifting and all of that. But so just be aware, it is intense, physically demanding work. And so if you're small, really like a really small build like me, I'm only 125 pounds, 130 pounds soaking wet. So, you know, for small guys like me, it was very difficult to do the hard work, but I did it for years and I loved it. But you know, I was raised by a Mac Marine Corps dad, who instilled that in me, was the hard work ethic, and to never be afraid of hard work. And so I thank him for that, because, you know, I do believe in hard work. And I think that's why I liked flatbedding so much, is just because it was physically demanding. I got to get out and be involved in the loading and unloading, and I got to have an adventure while I was doing it. Was it demanding? Oh yeah. Was it dirty? Oh yeah. Was it nasty? Oh yeah. But you know, I made a pretty decent living. I made a lot of money doing it. So all in all, I can't complain. And as far as my injury is concerned, I recovered quite well from it. I still get headaches from time to time. I still have, you know, some issues with my shoulder from time to time. You know, it flares up every once in a while. But on the overall, I don't regret it at all. I found it to be very fascinating and very cool. And you know, there was no better feeling than driving a 387 Peterbilt with an 84-inch sleeper pulling a 48-foot elite dry van, or an elite flatbed trailer with bulldozers on the back of it. I mean, that was the coolest feeling in the world. And I picked those up over in Indiana and pulled them all the way over to Washington. Went over the mountains with them. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. A lot of fun. So if you're bored with box truck, or if you're bored with reefer unit and you're looking for a little bit more variety and spice in your life, give it a shot. If you haven't come into trucking at all, there are some people that will tell you to go with box truck first. That way you can get acclimated to the drive life and get used to the demanding hours, and then go over to flatbed. That way you're not trying to make two life transitions at the same time. The full physical demand of flatbed, along with trying to adjust to the schedule of the driving. And that's what I did. I drove all kinds of other equipment before I took on flatbedding full time. So I would have to say that is true. I never did come in straight off the street with a brand new CDL and go right into flatbed. I think that would have been doubly demanding, and I think that would have been probably too much for me. I don't know, because I didn't have that experience, but I just can say that's basically the overall consensus of what people are going to tell you, or what they're going to suggest, or advice that they're going to give you, is to start out on something easier like dry van or something, and then after about 6 months to a year, go ahead and take on the flatbedding because of the physical demand on top of the physical demands of the driving schedule. So that's all I've got. If you like this video, please like and subscribe and share. And next I will be bringing I think I'll be talking about my review of Melton Flatbed, or Melton Transportation. I will be reviewing that company. I will be telling you what I liked about it. I will be telling you what I did not like about it. And I will be telling you about the different opportunities that they provide, being a medium fleet, having 1,200 trucks and 2,000 trailers. And I will tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly. And so, yeah, I'm just going to review that company, and I'm not going to hold anything back. And then after that, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about my review of Pascal Truck Lines, the company that I'm driving for right now. Again, tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly, the different opportunities that they provide, the pay structure, and all of that, the different opportunities that they have. And tell you about some similarities and some differences between these very similarly sized companies. And yeah, so if you find this kind of stuff interesting and fascinating, like and subscribe, and comment down below if you think of another topic that you'd like me to talk about, be it local, regional, over-the-road life. That'll be coming up as well. I'll be looking at and talking about the different schedules that you'll run, what to expect if you're local, regional, or over the road. And then another video I'm going to be putting out here pretty soon is the differences between company driver, lease operator, company lease operator, and your own authority. So thanks for watching. Have a great night.